treble hooks are really one of those love-hate relationships. You know, they seem to tangle up in everything in the boat, but oftentimes not the best for getting a fish in the boat. But having the right one for the right application really makes a big difference. So I'm going to kind of run through some of the different ones that I use, when I use them, how I use them, different things like that. So all the Spro baits come with Gamakatsu treble hooks on them. A lot of people don't know that, but they're all premium treble hooks. So if you have a lot of Spro baits and you're looking for the replacements that are exactly the same, Gamakatsu is the way to go. But even on baits that are not Gamakatsus or Spros, you can put those on them as well. So this is a walking Haint. This is like a number 2 round bend on here, and when in doubt, that's what I go with. It's going to come in a pack, something like that right there. I like the bronze personally a little bit better than the black. I think it's just a touch sharper, may just be me. Don't think there's any real science behind it, but the only modification I would make to this is on the back hook, I am going to put a feathered treble. And they make this in both the Finesse and the round bend version, but I hardly ever throw a treble hook on the back of a topwater that is not a feather. And that's just a personal preference for me. I think it helps the fish key in on it. I had a really high finish at a Forestwood Cup one time, and I caught the majority of my fish on a big bait like this. They were chasing small bait, but I caught them on that back hook, and I think they were thinking that feather was that small bait. So you still get the big bait appeal. You can throw it a long ways, but you've got that feathered hook as well. So, you know, another thing is the size. So you don't want to really overpower your bait with the hooks, but you want to have as big a hook on there as possible. So straight out of the box, this Aruku Shad right here, this is like a number 4, and this is like a 6. So you can catch fish like this. You know, you're not going to have too much problem, but this is how I modify mine to throw it. And these are actually number 2s, still the round bend, but they're short shanks. So this short shank package, you know, this is when you're going to look for those bigger hooks that you can throw on a bait that actually has smaller ones, and they're just a lot shorter of a shank. Like, these are the same size hook, but you can tell how much shorter that is. You're going to lose like 1/8 or 3/16 of an inch right there, and you don't want your hooks to where they can come and hook together. So that short shank is going to allow you to actually go up a size. If you weren't throwing short shanks, you'd have to throw 4s on here, but with the 2s you can get away with a lot more, and I just feel like I have a lot better chance at landing fish with a bigger hook like that, and that's when I really rely on a round bend. Another thing, when you're changing your hooks, take your front one and you want it to lay on the belly like that, whether it's a crankbait, a lipless crankbait, a jerkbait, whatever it is, you want it to swim like that. If this was turned around, this point's actually going to be kind of hitting the bait a little bit. You want it to where it lays totally flat when you put it on there. And for the back one, I like it to be, I try and do the opposite. I want it to have one sticking up. I feel like if they're actually kind of coming from behind the bait, nipping it, that one sticking straight up seems to work out better for me. And then when you've got, you know, colder weather, jerk baits, things like that, that's when I really go with this Finesse version. So this is a number 5. You know, a lot of people have different opinions on jerkbait hooks, especially the mega bass ones. That hook right there has the same weight as the mega bass hook, so it won't change the action of your bait, won't change the sink rate, the flotation, anything like that. If you put too big of hooks on, you know, suspending baits or floating baits, it's actually going to change the way they sit in the water. So you want something that's going to kind of be right in the same ballpark. You know, it's wintertime, 2 great choices for that. For the Finesse, going to be the Little John, whether the regular one or the MD. Definitely put Finesse trebles on that, and the rock crawler. Finesse trebles are definitely a go-to for both of those players. And then the Finesse, so it's got a much smaller barb to it, and that's why I really like it for, you know, colder water. It doesn't take hardly anything to set the hook. So you can see how small the barb is right there. And it's just a personal preference thing for me, but I feel like in the colder water, colder weather, you've got fish, they're more lethargic, they're not near as active. A lot of times they don't get the bait as well, and you know, that's when you're cold too. You're not going to feel things as well, and the smaller barb really seems like I catch a lot more fish on that than having something that you really have to set the hook on. So the main question we get is, what treble hook should I get, you know, round bend versus EWG style? So here's the EWG style. You know, Kevin Van Dam has thrown this hook, or a EWG style hook, you know, pretty much his whole career. He made it really famous, and a lot of people lose a lot of fish on him, and I'm one of those guys. I don't throw that very often, but to me, the reason is you have to use a little bit heavier line, a little bit heavier rod. Think about that hook more as setting the hook with a worm. With that EWG style, you actually have to give them a little bit of a hook set versus just letting them load up. So that's why you see him, he was able to boat flip a lot of fish on that style hook. But to me, I'm more of a guy that I just like to let them swim around and play themselves out on trebles. It seems like I've got a lot more success, a lot higher land rate on that. So hopefully, you know, you learn a little bit about treble hooks and how to choose the right ones and when to use them. And all these baits and hooks are available at www.realdealtackle.com. Make sure you check it out. If you have any other questions, drop them in the comments. Like and subscribe for more videos like this.